Hello and welcome to Fact Not Fear, a little bit podcast as you can see, and a chance to hear from experienced correspondents around the world who've made their living covering and telling the stories that have shaped history. But also, as you'll see today, we've been fortunate to be joined by other contributors, a writer and a photographer who share their view of this ever-changing COVID landscape. The first report is from Yael Levi in Tel Aviv. It covers a period from the end of March until mid-May, and Passover, one of the nation's biggest festivals, which of course happened during lockdown.
אביה, שאני אבין מה את עושה?
מדפחת את המזרן.
בשביל?
מציבת ים של בורות.
אזרחי ישראל, החלטתי להיכנס לבידוד מרצון כדי לתת דוגמה אישית. הצלם נמצא במרחק של 6 מטר, ואת האיפור והשיער עשיתי בעצמי, ולכן זה נראה ככה.
אני מאוד מאוד מודה לך, יעל, שאת מצלמת אותי לא לראות את הבטן שלה.
אני מנסה, אני בגלל...
כדי להסתיר את זה. ראיתי את הצילומים מאתמול.
אוי, נו באמת. אתה יודע, המצלמה גם מוסיפה.
אזרחי ישראל, אנחנו עדיין בעיצומו של צונאמי בינלאומי. אתם נדרשים לקיים את ליל הסדר ואת חג הפסח רק עם המשפחה הגרעינית שנמצאת איתכם עכשיו. אני מדגיש, רק עם אלה שנמצאים איתכם עכשיו בבית. מדובר בשעת חירום גלובלית.
חג שמח, אמא. מה הכנת?
חג שמח. אני אתמול הכנתי כבר את הקווי קצוץ הטבעוני שאני עושה, את יודעת. ואני עשיתי מרק. היום אני עושה את הקנדלח. אני אעשה לי עוד איזה תבשיל של תפוחי אדמה ועוף. ואני רוצה ללכת לקנות פירות יבשים, לעשות לי מפתן. הנה, אני שמתי לי את הדברים מול הטלוויזיה.
ברוכים הבאים לסדר הישראלי הגדול ביותר בעולם.
אתה מוכן? אני מוכן כל השנה. מחכה כל השנה לזה. הנה הקטע שאהוב עליי במיוחד. והיא שעמדה על אבותינו ולנו, שלא אחד מלבד אמר.
אני מדגיש, רק אלה שנמצאים איתכם עכשיו בבית. אל תביאו את הבן הסטודנט.
גם העניין המסכה זה שאתה נכנס לסופר ואתה נורא מפחד מהמוצרים.
זה לחטוף ולרוץ.
לא נכון.
מה שלומכם? הכל בסדר? אתם מודעים להנחיות שקיימות?
אנחנו גרים כאן.
אתם גרים כאן.
כן.
היציאה היא רק לצורך, לא לטיול ולא...
לא לטיול, לא מותק, באמת, אני לא בטיול, לא בשום דבר, אני נושמת אוויר עם הילדים שלנו.
אוקיי. לא, אני יודע, בסדר, גם אני בעל משפחה, גם לי יש ילדים, אבל אתם צריכים להבין שגם רואים אתכם, השכנים האחרים רואים אתכם, יורדים, נהיית התקהלות. אם אתה אומר, סבבה. בשביל כולנו.
אוי נד.
לא בא לי לצאת בשאלה לילדים.
אני לא רוצה ללכת עכשיו.
שלום רב לכם, ערב טוב. בזמן שגובר העיסוק באסטרטגיית היציאה,
אין עדיין אסטרטגיית יציאה. אסטרטגיית היציאה.
אדם המואשם בפלילים לא יוכל להיבחר לראשות הממשלה.
היינו חודש ומשהו סגורים, אבל אנחנו כל הזמן
עשיתם משלוחים.
משלוחים וזה, אבל רק בסופי שבוע, את יודעת. אנחנו לא כל כך יודעים מה יהיה. איך אנחנו נחזור, מתי, יושבים עמוק ומנסים. זה שאנחנו עושים משלוחים די מציל אותנו. אני לא יודע, אני מרגיש שכשנחזור אז נשאב צ'יק-צ'ק לתוך הסיפור, אבל אני מקווה שמה שאני אקח מזה, שיהיה לי קצת יותר שקט, שאני אוכל קצת יותר זמן להקדיש למשפחה, קצת לעשות את הדברים יותר פיינשמקרים כזה.
אז כן יצאת עם תובנה.
כן.
אני בנימין נתניהו, בן צילה ובן ציון, זכרם לברכה, להתחייב כראש הממשלה, לשמור אמונים למדינת ישראל ולחוקיה, למלא באמונה את תפקידי כראש הממשלה ולקיים את החלטות הכנסת.
Yael Levi in Tel Aviv. In Warsaw, things are much quieter. The elections in May didn't happen, but people have adopted the old ways of taking some time to get back to nature. Here's Vitek Dukervich with a word about Yalka life.
It is hard to find something to do during the COVID pandemic. When you can't go shopping, all cafes and restaurants are closed, how long can you walk the dog? And what if you don't have one? The best solution is to spend the springtime in your garden. But most Poles, especially in big cities, live in the multi-story apartment houses. So a long time ago they came with the smart solution. It's called działka, and it is a small plot of land, what the British call an allotment, within a big garden. In Warsaw alone, there are currently about 170 such big gardens, some of them in the very heart of the city. Each of them contains from 50 to several hundred działkas. Each działka is different. Some people like just grass, others prefer trees or flowers. Some are carefully manicured, others not so much, and some are outright neglected. So are the sheds, from beautifully maintained to ruins asking for demolition. In the past, people used to grow vegetables to help feed families during the times of food shortages, or sell flowers on the street corners to add to tiny house budgets. Today, działkas are mostly for recreational purposes. My parents owned działka in the same garden complex not far from here. I remember as a child going there, working, playing and picking fruits. So when we came back from Australia 5 years ago, and my wife wanted some flower beds to work on, we bought this place here. Originally, the plot has been neglected for ages. Weeds grew waist high and the shed was one of the worst in the area. But years of hard work brought results. Now we have cherry and apricot trees, flowers, a lawn and a shed house we can enjoy. Obviously the work is not finished yet, but the work on działka never really finishes. Like most of the działka owners, we slowly became addicted. Now we seed tomatoes, cucumbers and flowers at home, grow them on the windowsill or balcony. When the time comes, we will move them to our plot and later reap the fruits of our work. But the most important aspect of being a działka owner are the neighbors. They are of different ages, mostly older people who have owned their działkas for a long time. They spend days and weeks weeding, raking, or simply enjoying their little privacy. But young people are here too. Meet Veronica, a działka owner for 3 years now.
I work in a big company full-time, so it's a great place to just come after work and wind and also get some of my own vegetables and fruit.
Andrzej owns a small business. This group has suffered heavily from COVID-19 pandemic.
When I've got a problem with job, I like come here, just sit, looking on the developing nature, the flowers growing up, and I feel very happy, very happy. I really like barbecue. This is also a great time. It's a great time for me, when I'm making barbecue for me, for my family, for my friends. Super time.
Others simply come here to enjoy nature or play with children. Nowadays, działkas are in great demand. People realize that during hard times to own a piece of garden brings a lot of profits. More and more people are environmentally conscious, use natural fertilizer, non-chemical plant protectors, or collect rainwater. With like-minded people around, time just flies. The outside world can be forgotten. Only people wearing face masks remind you about the COVID-19 pandemic in the outside world. To be closer to nature, some people keep animals here, from small to much, much smaller. And sometimes you get unexpected and most welcome guests. Unfortunately, not for long. And if you are not the lucky owner, you can just come for a walk. You can even walk your dog here if you have one. I am Witek Dudkiewicz in Warsaw, Poland.
Marie Skilling is a writer, poet and yoga teacher. She was moving house and hadn't quite managed the move when lockdown began. She's at her house near Heathrow Airport with her brother.
Lockdown. Not something you or I probably ever imagined for ourselves, let alone what it might mean. We find ourselves in an unusual place where fear can taunt us, and anxiety is laced with a weird mix of optimism and worry that sometimes can make us feel quite displaced. I've been emotionally stirred by the sad news of homes rocked with loss of their loved ones and their breadwinning jobs. Our TV friends broadcast from empty studios and their kitchens, where they too try to master scissor and comb because they have also been asked to stay at home. I am Marie Skilling, author of Love, Life and Travel, a book of poems I published days before lockdown, the profits of which go to Mind Charity. Donations to our beloved NHS support them to continue their efforts, but how are their minds when they're pushed to the limits? And staying at home, well, it's been an interesting test as PJs become the new Sunday best. But to my nan it all makes sense. You see, she said, "It's time you lot got some rest," meaning me and all my family. But less time outside has left my mind wildly alive. I haven't stopped writing since I was asked to stay at home. For a creative like me, there are even fewer distractions and not so many places to be. This is a time for gratitude and a good attitude, for the small things that grace our everyday, as we keep calm and carry on, but just do it in a different way. The minute staying home became the new going out, I returned to teaching yoga to keep people moving in their rooms, sitting all day at their makeshift desks, moving less and less. I was urged to do something to help ease the stress. If I could help my viewers bend, let them know they still have a friend, then maybe I would be able to do some good. As routines became more about moving to the kitchen and back with one too many snacks and a walk round the block when you've eaten the whole pack, some craved going back to some sense of normal, whatever that means. Until then, we clap to give thanks for the help of our heroes, and we can still sing and dance. Our journey inside requires us to be wiser and kind. Passing strangers on the street, from a distance of course, please share your smile as a simple treat. It might mean everything to someone in need. And to those of an age, mostly going it alone, afraid of what's out there or of staying stuck at home, or those with the spirit to bend all limits with a strength of character so common in their day. You see, they're not all ready to rest. Captain Tom, a hero of war, who wanted to give more. A cricket fan, he has raised millions in time for his first century, and he's still a humble chap after earning a cap. It's hard to beat that. We connect while socially distanced, zooming in on unmade beds and dirty dishes, different decor and prized possessions. For pub quizzes, exercise and boozy sessions. As restrictions are eased, the people are pleased to do exercise further afield or meet up with one for a friendly walk, catching up for a proper talk. But there are plenty of daily stresses. Money worries and stuff running out, and the beautiful people that have lost their lives, their families not being able to send them off as they had hoped. It's a time that does raise a level of fear, despite everything that we hear. So we stay at home or alert, as we have been asked, and some even choose to wear a mask. A nation standing proud for all the good that we've witnessed, the kindness that grows stronger the more that we share. It's so wonderful to see how many really do care. I leave you with part of a poem I wrote when I was freer to roam and raise funds for another worthy cause. Our challenge was to hike a mountain at night. Not everyone reached the summit, and most struggled at some point. But what I witnessed in many, and myself, was a natural response to help another at their time of need. Just when I thought I had nothing left, I was asked to give some more. As a stranger's hand reached out to mine in desperation's want. Step by step we shared my light to safely wander home, till the sun came up and we smiled to ourselves as we knew we were free thereon. By sharing light we saw our way far from a darkened heart, and met our challenge until the end, to dance with the breaking day.
Marie Skilling. Now, Phil Payne is a photographer living in rural Wales, where the lockdown has eased only slightly. They're still limited at the time of writing on travel except for work, shopping or medical needs. Though these times move quickly, and by the time you watch this, that's a picture that may well have changed. Phil Payne in Wales.
I speak, I'm just watching 30 of the armed forces who are helping us today to set up our second sort of big delivery of beds into the stadium. And as I said, they're the second group now to come and help us to set up beds. And it's over 200 beds that will be set up within a day. So it's quite extraordinary to support.
The lockdown has eased in England, but here in Wales it's pretty much the same. Wales is a country within a country, part of the United Kingdom, with its own government, the Senedd. Ireland, Scotland and England each have their own governments and their own rules. Apart from shopping, medical care and work, we are still only able to exercise locally. The message is to stay local. We can now travel 5 miles to meet family, so we get to see Jenny's daughter Poppy. She works in a care home. We can only meet outside and must stay 2 meters apart, so just a chat and no hugs. This is the first time we've seen her in almost 2 months. She was unwell a few weeks back but tested negative. It's just my job, she said. She is 26 and we were scared for her and her brother. We took a care package to them, but saw neither of them, except from the first floor window of the apartment they share. This time we went to the beach to get to walk, have fresh air, drink coffee, chat, and take 2 meter apart selfies. This beach is never overcrowded, but now it seems so deserted. We live in a beautiful part of the world, once home to Tom Jones, Catherine Zeta-Jones and Anthony Hopkins, among others. This is a place of hills and farms, cities and shops, beaches and rivers, a place for tourists and business, but not just now. Soon the rugby and racing, music and adventure, businesses and shops will begin again. But the Senedd are being cautious here. Many lives have been lost, many jobs have been lost, but now is a time for patience and care. Wales wants its tourists back to enjoy this country. Wales wants business back on its feet again, but that will all take time. In the interim, so many of us have changed attitudes. We can see what others do for us, whether they clean the streets or work in the finance market. We've learned we depend on every level of society being there. For many, it is an exhausting and terrible time. but we are fortunate where we are. So for now, we'll take a walk by the river or on the beach and wait for a better time to come. I'm Phil Payne in Wales. Thank you for watching.
Derek Clark is a photographer and musician as well, living in Glasgow. His wife is a carer. Here's his story, music and photographs.
While England is already a few weeks out of full lockdown, here in Scotland we have a further 3 weeks and are only now gradually making those first changes. I've walked this route as a street photographer for many years, packed with shoppers, tourists and buskers, but now it's like a ghost town, a scene from some post-apocalyptic Hollywood nonsense. My wife Faye is a carer at the local nursing home where they've had cases of COVID-19 and a few deaths, so we've had to take precautions at home just in case. We each have our own plates, cups, cutlery, dish towels and sponges to do our washing up. Faye wears a mask when she's in the same room as the rest of us. The kids are keeping up with schoolwork and activities such as ballet and karate with regular online classes using Zoom. We go for regular walks and bike rides, exploring local trails and disused railways, rather than sticking to the streets where most people are. We found places we never knew existed, places where the kids can use up excess energy and get rid of any frustrations. My aunt and uncle both contracted coronavirus. They spent a week in hospital before my uncle sadly passed away. We have a small population in Scotland compared to England, but we have already had 2,300 deaths from COVID-19. More than 37,000 people have died in the UK. Who knows how many more before this is over.
This episode's Day in the Life features Donna Svenovic in New York. Donna is a seasoned and recognised photographer for her news work around the world and in the city in which she lives. Based in Manhattan, she is currently caring for her 90-year-old mother in Brooklyn and her brother also close by who's suffering some difficult times with healthcare. Here's Donna's day with a nod thrown in to Andrew Cuomo.
Well, I'm the naked cowboy, keep the review. I'm the naked cowboy, get a naked cowboy. Coronavirus 2020. Get her done.
Hello, my name is Donna Svenovic. I'm a photographer and an actress. When I'm not in quarantine, I'm running around doing photography assignments, making portraits for people. And in terms of acting, I'm in off Broadway plays, acting in independent films, doing play readings, and I'm active in my groups, various groups on Zoom, which we never knew about. I'm also a Buddhist. I have a teacher, her name is Pema Chodron. One of her books is called The Wisdom of No Escape, Sitting with Yourself. The first couple weeks were very hard to deal with. Everybody binged on Netflix and ate junk food and slept till noon, and myself included. As this went on, I started to stabilize in it. There's certainly time for meditation now, so I've been doing that a lot. So what is the quarantine like? There are a lot of positives about it. And I know there's tremendous suffering going on in this city, in the world. I'm not directly related to corona suffering. My brother has a serious health issue that just developed right as we went into quarantine, so we have to go to the hospitals for care and tests. This is Mount Sinai. I'm here with my brother who doesn't want to be photographed. He's having some tests for a serious situation. It's hard when a family member of a photographer doesn't want to be photographed. With my mother, I sneak it with the cell phone. She doesn't know that that's a camera, but my whole life had to twist people's arms to take their photograph. The city has changed greatly. There is one reason we got hit so hard with the coronavirus is because we have such density here, and now we don't. There is so much space in this city. I ride my bike all over, and it's kind of dangerous to ride a bike in New York City. Not anymore. There's just so much space, so few cars, less people on the sidewalks. And it's spring. It's this amazing, amazing spring. Or maybe it's amazing because there's so few people. It seems the most lush spring we've had in a long time. Taking care of my mother, did I mention that? She's 90 years old and she has dementia.
It looks like a nice day, but is it cold? Yeah, this kitchen is very cold.
It's a nice kitchen. You need more syrup?
No, thanks, darling. Do a lot of people in New York have this virus?
People in the entire world have it.
I wonder where it started.
China.
Why is it China? What happens? What kind of a virus is that?
It attacks your lungs.
Wow. What's happening to this world? I don't know. I feel sorry for the people at work.
Yeah, that have to go on the train.
Oh my God.
And there's many of those. Nurses, doctors.
Holy smokes.
Yeah, holy smokes.
And what happens to the people that get this?
It attacks your lungs.
Do they die from it?
Every day in New York, there's New York State, there's 600-700 people.
So traveling on the train, does everyone have a mask?
Oh, it's not a good idea to travel on the train. Everybody has a mask, everywhere.
In supermarkets.
That's open, here's my mask.
I used to buy a lot of clothes in that color. So how do people get to work?
Some people, they have to take the subway.
And what happens with this virus?
Your lungs, you get pneumonia.
Oh my. And where is it from?
Yes.
China?
Yeah.
Are they dying too?
Yeah.
And where did this come from, I wonder?
China.
So everything is like locked up, huh? So around your neighborhood, do people have this virus?
In the entire world.
So I guess
The subways, they're not busy, huh?
No, they're not busy.
Did they say where they thought it came from?
Yeah, where do you think?
China?
Yeah.
And what happens when they have it? Do they get sick then?
Severe lung problem.
Wow.
Pneumonia. Somebody said at the beginning of this that going through this experience is going to plant the seeds for the future, for our future lives. We're going to come out of this different. And that's good. That's good. I know I'm one of the very, very, very lucky ones. And I'm trying to be open to everything that happens. I'm trying to be useful. We have these beautiful parks, this being one of them, where everybody's walking 2 by 2, 1 by 1, masked. I kind of like the fact that I can't run out and buy a pair of shoes to feel better. I can't go to the movies, go to the theater. I love the theater and the movies, of course. I'm not saying that, but there's nothing to do. The only stores that are open are the food stores and the drug stores and some hardware stores. That's it. So it's kind of like a monastic, contemplative life for me here, anyway. I wish you all well. I really do. Okay, thanks.
And that's it for this edition of Fact Not Fear, perhaps the final in this form. I looked at my diary today and went back a year. Tonight, this time last year, I was going to watch a street photographer talk in East London. My wife was going out for a meal with friends and then the cinema, and my mother-in-law was coming over to look after the kids for the evening. 3 activities that we could plan and take for granted and enjoy for the simple pleasure of something called proximity. How obscenely and absurdly the world has changed. And when we set about making these reports, we wanted to deliver accounts and thoughts from recognised and talented storytellers that furnished you with the reality of what was happening, minus what appeared to be an agenda of rolling news fear. Whilst we weren't trying to sugarcoat the news, and we've certainly not done that, we felt the idea of being at home with the correspondents and being a part of their lives would bring a unique angle during a time where social distancing and legally enforced isolation took us away from experiencing life with others. 3 months has passed, and events latterly with the anti-racism protests have brought another agenda to the news. You can visibly see the concern on political leaders' faces who fear the perfect storm where a right to protest mixes uncomfortably with the very real chance the numbers of protesters in close proximity could give rise to reinfection and a second wave of COVID-19. We may find a vaccine for this virus yet, but a vaccine to counter racism? We'll be back again with more in-depth views of individual lives during this pandemic and protests. For now, though, we're taking a short break to see what happens next.